Well, speaking of Washington, President Biden says up to 125,000 people could be admitted to the U.S. as refugees during the next year.
His message comes as busloads of migrants continue to pour into cities like New York and Washington. Those cities say they are overwhelmed, with New York now building temporary migrant camp in the Bronx. Here's NBC News correspondent Zinhle Essamuah.
This is a migrant shelter under construction in New York City. Built in response to the influx of migrants, more than 14,000 asylum seekers arriving since the spring. Republican governors Ron DeSantis of Florida and Greg Abbott of Texas busing migrants to sanctuary or Democrat-led cities.
I think what we're continuing to do is use every tool at our disposal to insulate the state of Florida from the negative ramifications of his reckless border policies.
I'm just helping out our local communities who are located on the border and moving migrants from those locations up to New York, to D.C., to Chicago, and maybe some other locations.
Now, New York is responding with a new plan, a temporary emergency shelter. There are currently at least 6 large industrial structures up and under construction. City officials are calling it the Orchard Beach Humanitarian Relief Center. It's expected to be heated and house up to 1,000 migrants.
I'm curious and I'm concerned, about the environment it's being built in. I heard there was flooding.
Construction began in late September, and it has the community divided.
When you hear the idea of them being located in a flood zone, you have to ask your question, is this the city that we are?
How do you feel about this shelter being built?
It shouldn't be. Now, where are we going to go?
I walk here every day, and I'm not too sure it's going to be housing here and how safe it's going to be after the housing here.
David Diaz is a board member with City Island Rising, a community-based organization for the area. He says migrants are welcome.
I would love to see not be intense, not on cots, right? I would like better for that, but this is what we have now, so this is what we're going to have to deal with. What I'd rather see is people, open up their arms and show what a community can do.
But not everyone is on board with the idea. FEMA deeming this very parking lot a special flood hazard area.
This becomes like a lake. How are they going to manage that?
Bill Stanton is president of the City Island Civic Association, which represents residents of City Island and identifies as apolitical. He believes moving migrants to Orchard Beach is unsafe.
Theoretically, you can have a gang member, a drug mule, amongst these innocent migrants, endangering their safety and endangering the safety of the citizens of City Island and New York City in general.
If not here, migrants housed here, where should they go?
We need to pick a place that's more secure for all involved, where there's better logistics and people could be transported.
The government's response to the criticisms?
People live in flood zones. People live in flood zone, and when there's a flood that threatens that zone, we evacuate. And so there's nothing new here.
The build set to be complete in at least 2 weeks as the city awaits the next onslaught of migrant arrivals.
We don't know what's going to happen. So we're all upset. We can't control this.
And Zinhle joins us on set now. Zinhle, talk to us about these temporary camps. Will kids and families also be housed there?
Yes, Vicky and Morgan, the city emphasizes that no children or families with children will be housed there, and they are temporary shelters. Now, New York City is in conversation with Norwegian cruise ships. They're thinking about housing these migrants on cruise ships in the interim, so a lot in flux as busloads of migrants continue to arrive.
My word, what a good story. Zinhle, thank you for bringing that to us. Really important reporting. Zinhle Essamuah.
Thanks for watching our YouTube channel. Follow today's top stories and breaking news by downloading the NBC News app.